Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In the last episode, we got the car up on jack stands, test fitted the wheels, got the numbers we thought we needed, got the rear end pulled out, and got that axle housing stripped. We got all the way to getting ready to cut this housing, and it wouldn't fit in the bandsaw with those brackets. Well, luckily, I decided to go ahead and double check the measurements with the spacers. And I said in the last video that we didn't need those spacers. We actually do. The way these wheels are designed, they're recessed. So we actually do need these spacers. So I need to remark the axle housing for 3.5 inches, not 2.5. So let's go ahead and clean up those marks and get this marked to cut. There's that first cut. It worked out to where I'm able to cut off the factory brackets. All I had to do was cut the welds. This is 3.5 inches. So it worked out where I can almost cut this flush. So I can grind that flush, cut that weld, and then grind this flush, which it already is. The inside's not welded, so I'm gonna reuse the factory brackets. I'm gonna make some lower link bars that'll be slightly offset to compensate for how much this is coming over. Once I get this all tacked up and welded up, everything how I want it and the numbers where I want it, then we'll get those brackets figured out and place them where we're gonna place them. I'm gonna move them 1 inch over. That way there's an inch space between where I need it to be. I may do 1.5 inches. I'm not sure yet. Wherever I decide, that's gonna decide how I make the lower trailing arms. So next I need to pull all my measurements all the way around, double check it, because I cut to the walls to try to help reduce and get rid of those welds for me. These are maybe a 1/16 at spots longer, an 1/8 inch longer, but I need to mark that all the way around, cut it flush, which isn't a problem for me. And then once we do that, I can put on my little pieces to mark, to bevel them. Once we get all 4 ends beveled, all 4 ends beveled, then we can pull out the jig and start setting it up. Now that we have trimmed it, cleaned it up, marked it, beveled it, and cleaned the inside of the tubes. I cleaned up, you could see the weld, it's so clean in there. You could see the factory welds from the outside. Those are all cleaned up, beveled. Both sides are cleaned up really nicely. Plenty of room to work with. When we put these two together, it'll give me a nice fat, well, unfocused, a nice big fat space to do my root and my second pass and whatnot. Same with these. As you can see, nice and clean. Completely cleaned out inside. Even the bottom sides, nice and shiny. So now while I'm welding, I ain't gotta worry about any contaminants from inside of there messing up my welds. As well as, why not have it clean and ready for new fluid? I have them scarred and marked where they're gonna go. So now we can go ahead, I'll dump that creamy, yummy, old axle fluid mix. That looks real good. And then we'll come in and get this set up on the jig and get it tacked up. Hey, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Turn on notifications, that way you get notified when the next project or the next video drops. You never know what I'm working on. You already know I gotta step in and show you these root passes. As you can see, we've done them in the pattern that's recommended to keep these housings straight. I can't say enough that you can't just wrap around that housing. So like I said, we'll show you some more of these root passes real quick. Before it cools down too much, let's finish up welding it. Once I get it welded up solid, I'll go ahead and order the axles. I did double and triple check my measurements. And right now we went a hair over, which is fine, but I took 3 5/8 out of each side. That's 7 1/4 total. fully welded up, as you saw. Also, I went ahead and ordered the new axles. It'll take a few days for them to be made, and then they have to ship. We've already got the new bearings and seals in, the axle bearings and the axle seals. I also got the carrier in and torqued down the outer bearing caps. So this axle housing is ready to go for the axles. We also need to, probably next, go ahead and mark where I'm putting the stock lower trailing arm mounts back on. And I need to go ahead and start cleaning these up. Now that we have the axle housing ready to go, I need to cut those tubes off like we discussed before. Not much to take them off of there, just a couple little welds and then cleaning up the ends because of where I strategically cut it. Once we get them on the axle housing where we want them, and we get the axles in, we can start assembling the housing back fully. We can go ahead and put the brakes on. I need to put the ends on, actually. It's not. I kind of lied a little bit. I said it was fully ready for axles. It's not. I need to put the hubs back on. So we'll probably go ahead and bolt those back on right now. Then we need to clean up those brackets, clean up the axle housing where they're gonna go, get them tacked on, double and triple check my measurements, and then we can fully weld them up. Friendly reminder, you already know it. Hit that subscribe button if you aren't already. Ring that bell, that way you get notified of all the updates on this project and or other projects coming in. Cleaned up and ready to be tacked together. As you saw previously, we cleaned up the stock lower brackets, cut them off of the section that we cut out on each side. It was easier for me for what I needed to take out. I could literally, it was like not much on each side. Was able to cut these brackets off and out and then clean them up, and that's what gave me my material. It worked out pretty nicely. These, like I said, I cleaned up the welds, the factory welds. They're prepped and ready to go. I need to set the housing to 0, so we'll bring that end and set it up there and put it on the angle finder. Set it to 0. Then I'll measure my distance between the bracket and the flange and get it at the angle I want, and then I can tack them in. Once I get both tacked in, I'm going to temporarily mount the backing plate. That way I can double and triple check my measurements to make sure everything's where I want. Make sure it's good. Then we'll take those backing plates back off and fully weld everything up. We can, once it cools down, it's good to go, we'll put them backing plates on, and then we'll start figuring out the brake lines. Prime example, why I always say, tack it up and measure 2, 3, 4 times, as many times as you need to double check. I tacked these on, and I went the wrong direction with them. So let's go ahead and pull these off, and then we'll get them retacked on. But as of right now, the way I have these tacked on, those brackets are too narrow. So they need to go out probably the opposite side of where they are. This will go to this side, and then this will go to this side. We'll mount the backing plates and then measure off of there. I'll stick the bolts in, and then we'll go from there and do it again. Let's do a take 2. Hey, if you have been watching this long, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring that bell. That way you get notified on my updates. before I flip it back over the direction it goes, I'm also gonna go ahead and throw some paint on it, but before all that, we could show you some of these welds. You already know how I get down. Anyone supporting me, you already know. We already know. All right, like I said, we're gonna throw some paint on it like it is, then I'll flip it, throw some more paint on it, give it a few minutes to dry, then we can start assembling the housing. Once the housing is assembled, we'll start cutting, shortening, rebending, whatever needs to be done to the brake line. Then we can go ahead and start getting it into the vehicle. That's just about it for the housing. Got almost everything on and in. Axles were in, put in. You saw we painted it. Got the carrier bolt, the C-clips on the axle housings, the carrier pin in. Got it all set up, got the fluid in. Next, we need to get the brake lines shortened. I'm not sure if I'm gonna just bend them slightly out of the way or if I'm gonna go ahead and cut the ends, rebend them and reflare them. But we'll get started on that next. Once we get that in, then I'm going to pull the upper and lower trailing arms out of the car. That way we can get some measurements on them and compare the length. I'm gonna extend them, but go ahead and compare them and go ahead and get these set up to put in. These are from Trick Chassis, a double adjusting upper and lowers. They can be adjusted in the vehicle. I also need to put on the spacer adapters. I'm gonna put these on once the rear end is in the car. I want to get the rear end centered in the wheel well before we start mocking up where we're cutting on the frame. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we'll get the brake line done. Brake lines have been cut, double flared, and reinstalled. You always got to play around with the lines and manipulate them, get them where you want. Nothing's touching any metal except for the factory little hold downs. Nice and secure all the way around. Like I said, nothing's touching. Oh, let me just go ahead and trip myself. Nothing will rub. Had to clean up the lines, as you saw. They were so old and had a coating and everything on them that I couldn't even get the flares to move on them. So I cleaned it up, made it really smooth, and then I was able, as you saw, to get the flares to move out of the way, or the couplers, the nuts, whatever these are called, the flare nuts. I had to move out of the way so I can double flare the line. So now, technically, that rear end is complete. Next, I need to go ahead and pull the trailing arms. We'll get them out, measured up, and I'm going to extend the lowers and the uppers. I already have some math that I'm gonna try. I found online. The uppers, I believe, is a 1/2 inch, and the lowers is 1 inch longer than factory. And I believe that puts me kind of close to center, because when I do the math, this is about 36 inches, this opening. The wheels we're using are 32. That leaves 4 inches. So when I do the math, it touches right there. If I extend that 1 inch to 1.5 inches, it should put that somewhere in the center. So I'm gonna start off with 1 inch on the bottom, 1/2 inch on the top. All we have to do now left is that, get the rear end in there. I believe I need to notch the rear of the frame. But all of that will be in the next video. That's all the time I'm allotting for this one. I usually like around 30 minutes, a little over, and that's where we're at on this one. So if you want to see this finished up, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. That way you get notified when I post the next video of this complete. We'll get that rear end in, we'll get it centered. If we need to notch it, we'll notch it. And in the other video, the last one, I'm not sure if we're keeping the factory coils or if we're doing air suspension, coilovers. Not even sure yet. We haven't gotten there. I wanted to get the rear end narrowed and all this done and then go take care of the next step as we do it. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.